Alright, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial, or excuse me, not Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Editor for Fortnite Creative. And today we are going to be looking at how to create a material using all the techniques that I've shown you. This video will also work for Unreal Engine 5 as well. That's why I said that, but this is Unreal Editor for Fortnite Creative specifically. So, just to get started here, I've created a base material, as you can see right here, and then a material instance. And inside of the material instance is a child of my base material, and it's been applied to the mesh, as you can see right here. So this is generally like how I like to do my setup, and then I generally have all of this in a materials folder. So if you have any questions on base materials and material instances, please watch my other videos. The playlist will be in the description. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started here and open up the material graph. And here's our little preview, and then I also have this as well to see how it works in our world. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So first thing is we really want to look at two specific nodes here. It's going to be the normal and it's going to be the base color. Are going to be two of the most important ones to really think about and work with. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come here and I'm going to grab a texture sample node. And I'm going to grab a node that I like here. So let's go ahead and grab a noise texture, as you can see. And I have a couple of good options here. Let's see what we would like to go with. I'm going to go with a cloud noise texture, which looks like that. And then I'm going to grab a lerp node. Now, if you didn't watch my last video, I did a whole thing on what lerp does. But what I'm going to do now is called alpha masking. So rather than the alpha here being a number in my lerp, I'm actually going to apply it as a texture. And this is going to allow me to blend two colors together based off of this texture map. So let's go ahead and do that. I hold 3 on my keyboard to create a color. I hold 3 on my keyboard to create another color. And then I can go ahead and drag these two colors into my nodes here. Bam, bam. And then, of course, I can drag this in like that. Now, obviously, you didn't see much of a change. But if I set this to red, for example, and then set this to blue, you actually start to see that have an effect. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and start creating a tiling for my texture here. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, and then I'm going to type in a texture coordinate. This allows us to create the tiling, or how it's applied to our mesh. So I'll grab a texture coordinate, grab a constant here, and then grab a multiply node. And of course I'm going to drag this in here, drag this in here. We're going to set this to 1. And then I'm going to drag that in there. And as you can see, nothing changes. I'm going to convert this to a parameter and call this tiling noise. And maybe even base color, because I may use other noise textures as well. Okay, so if I want to make this smaller, I'll put in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As you can see, it gets smaller over time. Okay, I think that's a little bit too repeated. Actually, I'll see how it looks on our texture, but that's looking decent so far. And now what I can do is I can come here, and I can start to manipulate these. So I'm going to go for like a landscape material today. Is kind of going to be my goal, is to kind of find a way to create like a landscape-ish material. So that would be kind of like maybe like a dirt with some leaves in it. Would be kind of like the goal here. Something that you would use generally for a forest. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go ahead and reduce the brightness just a little bit. I can do that here. I can also do that here. And I'm going to go ahead and try and find a nice dirt color. So just starting here, that looks like a nice little brown there. And then I'm going to come here and create even a darker brown. So I'm going to grab the hexadecimal here. Should be right here. We'll just grab this guy. Boom. And I'll click OK. Now we get both colors here. And now I can go ahead and start to make this darker. And we're getting a good look just to kind of start here. Just working on manipulating this. I would make this even darker here. There we go. I kind of want the base to be a little bit darker. There we go. And maybe this to be a little bit brighter. There we go. We're kind of getting a nice dirt look there. Already off the bat, just using lerp and a noise texture here, we're starting to get a nice little dark color to it. Now what I can do, well, there's a lot of things I can do, but a nice little technique here as well, rather than going into the nodes, you can actually create a brightness like modifier, I guess, or a contrast modifier by coming here and creating a constant here. And what I can do is I can come here and then do a addition node like so. And I can take this like that, and I can drag this into that, and then I can drag this here. And as I add, like, 0.2, for example, you notice everything gets brighter. If I come here and subtract 0.1, for example, things get slightly darker. So this will be something that we can kind of use to modify our material here and change some of the contrast. So I'll say white, I guess, versus dark, or contrast. There's a couple things you could name it here. I'm just going to do white versus dark. Again, parameters can be named whatever you want. Name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it that. Okay, all right. I'll set this to 0 for now. I kind of like the way that looks. And that looks kind of good for a dirt material. Cool. I'll go ahead and work on the normal later. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this off for now. To disconnect a node, you hold Alt. Right, and now I'm going to go ahead and try and create something similar to be a grass material. And before I do that, I'm going to create a lerp node again, and then this is going to go into here. My grass material is going to go into here, so I can drag all of this and see the comments, and I'm going to call this dirt like that, and I can kind of drag this up like this. And then next we'll create our grass, and then we'll have a blend as well here. So let's go ahead and grab a texture sample here and go ahead and see how I want this to blend. Now, I am a huge fan of noise textures for blending stuff. We're going to go with a noise texture here. I'm going to call this our blend, and then again, setting up our texture coordinate setup as always. I'm going to go ahead and come here and grab a texture coordinate like that, create a constant, and then we're going to multiply them together, and we're going to go here. I'm going to right click and call this scale for blend noise between dirt and grass. Again, you can name those whatever you want. I just named it that, right? Maybe not the most descriptive name, but I think this is an important parameter to have. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to 1 here, drag this into this guy here. And then we'll go ahead and drag that into our alpha just like that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and comment this and call this blend between dirt and grass. Cool. All right, so that's set up there. Now we just need to go ahead and set up our grass material. Now I can kind of do a very similar strategy to what I just did here to set up my grass material. So I'm going to come here and I'm just actually going to copy this stuff here. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it here, just like that. Drag it all down, and we're going to call this grass. Now obviously I'm not going to use these same nodes, but this is definitely a nice thing. Now, one thing you would want to consider is making this a material function. I haven't covered that here yet, but I'll probably cover a small video on how to do that. But definitely this would be something I'd be looking in, because generally I just have parameters here, and I generally want to make this a material function. So something to consider. I'm going to go ahead now, and this would go into our lerp here. And what I can actually do is I can right click and I can do enable real-time preview, and it's going to allow me to preview based off of that node. Or it should start previewing node. Bam, there it is. Okay, so there's my little preview. All right, so for the grass texture, I don't want to use a cloud noise texture. Let's see what I may want to use for grass texture. I'm going to try and stick to default textures that come with inside of this, so nothing from outside of like our basic textures here inside of noise. I think a Vinoy texture would actually be quite good to use here. And I'm going to right click on this, and we're going to rename this back to something else. We're going to call this tiling Vinoy. I forget how you spell Vinoy. V-O-R-O-N-I. Tiling V-O-R-O-N-I. Grass. Boom. And I'm actually going to set this to like 2 for now. Looks decent. All right, so now it's going to be the colors here, and I definitely want a very nice green, right? Kind of like a lighter greenish here. I think that looks pretty good, and then definitely a very dark green. Boom. I think the screen here is a little too light. There we go. We're getting much more of a grassy look now. There we go. Definitely seeing some contrast here now. Let's come here, and I'm actually going to set this to 1, maybe like 0.5-ish, 0.7. Yeah, I'm getting a decent look here for something that might be a little grassy. I think having another texture as well applied here, maybe like a leaf texture, would make this look even better. But for right now, this is not bad at all. If I come here and do a negative 0.2 maybe, let's see. Okay, that's gonna make it too dark. That's too bright, obviously. Let's try 0.1, still too bright. Negative 0.1, that's too dark. I'm gonna call this white versus dark grass. Boom, and I should probably call this white versus dark dirt. Just thinking about how maybe we could make this look a little bit better. I'm gonna go ahead and grab another lerp texture here. And I'm gonna see if I can't blend this with a grass texture. So let's see here if we can find a good grass texture that might function a little bit better here. It does look like this comes with the default library, which is kind of nice. Let's drag this in here. And let's just preview this to start to see what this looks like. So definitely would want to scale this down. So again, same setup here. Grab a constant, boom, grab a texture coordinate, boom, and then we're gonna multiply these guys together. And I'm gonna set this to like 10. Maybe even like 20. And then let's go ahead here, and we have a nice lerp set up. So let's go ahead and now drag this into this guy like that. And we're gonna start previewing this node here. So we definitely got the white here. What might actually be smarter is rather than dragging that in like that, what we can do is we can actually drag this guy into the alpha here. Get an AB. I'm getting a lot of white popping through. All right, I disagree with this. It was a good try. I could mess with that and finagle that a little bit more, but I think we're just gonna stick with the Vinoy here. And that kind of gives us this nice look here. And I'll go ahead and set this, let's say to like negative 0.3-ish. Yeah, negative 0.5. No, negative 0.4 might be the sweet. No, we'll go negative 0.3. Kind of like that look a lot. All right, cool. So we'll just go ahead and go with that. And just using, again, the techniques that we saw from last time. Nothing too fancy here. And I'm going to go ahead and stop previewing this. And now we're going to go ahead and lerp together. And let's just see what we get here. So the lerp looks decent. I think the dirt texture is coming through a lot here in the lerp. So let's think about the best way to really make sure the dirt doesn't come through as much. It's really going to come down to how this is tiled. If I come here to 10, you can get more of that grass to pop through. So I'm going to go ahead and try and make this brighter. And it's starting to come through just a hair here. As you can see, that makes it really bright. Really want more of these greens to come out. Oops, not that much. All right, so see here what we get just without that. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to go ahead and come here, set back this to 0. That's doing that, adding this. Oh, that's what happened. We have this lerp. Yeah, this lerp is what's throwing everything up. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting more of what we wanted. There we go. Boom. Actually, let's just go to 0. Actually, I think even 0. No, 0. Okay, now we're getting the good look here that we wanted. All right, now let's go ahead and redrag this back in. Still kind of want that to pop a little bit more on the green side of things, so I still want this to be greener. There we go, starting to get more of the green look that we want. Don't want it to be too overwhelming though. Cool, cool. All right, let's set this back to 1. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. So now we're getting a nice little blend here between the grass and the dirt, and it's starting to come together now. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that there. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create some constants here for the metallic and the roughness. So this will be our metallic, and then this will be our roughness. Bam, bam. Okay, so the roughness I'm gonna set to like 0.6. I don't want it to be super shiny. And metallic we'll just leave where it is. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, no, I like the 0.6, maybe even like the 0.7-ish. Yeah, that's a good range there. I like that a lot. Cool. All right, so now we have a good setup here for most of what we're doing. And of course, I can even scale this down a little bit more if I want to kind of get a good blend between my grass and my dirt. Just a little too dark. Go. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and set up the normal. What I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna create a texture sample just like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab a noise texture. As you can see, I've really tried to use only like some of the procedural textures here. And here we have a micro noise. That's a normal texture. So just to go ahead and let's see what this looks like. If I go ahead and click start preview, that's essentially the depth that's going to create it here, right? Now, what I'll generally want to do from this is, just like we normally do, is I'm going to come here and create a texture coordinate. Just like that. And we're going to go ahead and multiply these two things together. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. This is going to be our normal tiling. So normal map tiling. Just like that. I'm going to set this to 1. Bam, and then we're gonna go ahead and drag this in here. And now, I need to see how I think this looks if maybe it's a little bit smaller. Yeah, kind of like it if it's smaller. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and drag this in here, and we're gonna go ahead and stop previewing the node. And as you can see, it's created a very nice bump map. I actually do like this bump map quite a bit. I may actually want it smaller. Let's check 5 and see. Yeah, I really think this looks even better smaller. Let's go 7. That kind of gives me that impression of dirt. Now, one thing that I do want to add even more to this is just a little bit of a noise like amplifier. So what I'm going to do here is come here and come 1, and I'm going to right click on this and call this noise intensity. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab a multiply node. We're going to drag this guy in here, this guy in here, and then we're going to drag this into the normal just like that. Now, obviously, the normal now has gone away completely because the noise intensity is 0. If I set it to 1, it'll be what we're at, and then 2 will actually double it. So let's go ahead and give it even more noise like that. And what I can even do here is I can actually change some of the brightness as well using the add modifier here, coming in if we came in like that. Now I can come in and add a 1 here, and we can start to manipulate this to even further enhance the normal. Boom, I kind of do like the look of that. Nice, all right. Cool, cool. I do think it might be tiled just a bit too big now that I'm looking at it. Let's go with 5 here. Yeah, I feel like I see a little bit more of it here. I like that a lot. Okay, and maybe even 4 for the normal intensity. Yeah, I like that. All right, cool. All right, so there is our normal data. I'll go ahead and slide that right in over here. We're gonna call this our normal data. Bam, check this out. I'm gonna call this metallic and roughness. To add a comment, by the way, you just select whatever you want and you click C. I don't know if I said that in the tutorial series, but that's how you do it. Cool, cool. All right, so let's go ahead here and apply this to our material and start working with the master shader as well. Okay, or with the material instance. Now I'll come here, and as you can see, it's starting to look kind of nice. Boom, now I can come here to the master and start manipulating the master, or excuse me, the material instance. And here it is. So one thing I didn't do here is I could change the base notes of the dirt. So like I could call this like a dirt color 1. And we'll come here and we'll call this dirt color 2. Boom. And this would be grass color 1. And then grass color 2. Well, cool. Save this up. Just creating some more customization. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to use that. All right, so let's go ahead and maybe make this a little bit more cool. Let's go ahead and come here. Maybe make this like 0.4-ish. 0.3. I do like that blend there. I'm actually going to come here and just add a little bit of metallic just to get it to interact with the light more. I think that's a little too much. Kind of about in that sweet spot there. Let's come here. Kind of like that normal. That's a good normal. Intensity, roughness. It's definitely too shiny. That's pretty good. Right about there is pretty darn good for the change between that. Let's see. I like that, it's just fine. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring this down just a hair here to really make that dirt pop out. Yeah, I love that. And that looks great. All right, there you have it, folks. There's a nice little texture here that allows us to mix between our dirt and our grass. And you know, I think that came out pretty good. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Let's go ahead and see here. Rotate this a little bit. Do this on the light side, for example. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Let me just take this down actually just a bit. And then let's come here. Make the grass just a little bit brighter. Come here, maybe even make this grass just a little bit brighter. Again, you could kind of play with this stuff for so long, you know, and just create all sorts of different materials. But for the most part, I'm a pretty big fan on how this came out. Again, of course, you know me, gonna stay here and work on this forever. I like that. What was it? It was not this guy. That's fine. Where was it? The Vinoy. Here it is. Here, kind of add more of that dirt texture in there. Cool. All right, and there you have it. If this video helped you in any ways, please like and subscribe. And this was a great video just to really showcase how cool you can get with material instances. So I really hope this was helpful. I showcased some of the techniques that allow you to create material instances and base materials inside of UEFN. And it was a lot of fun. So again, if this video helped you in any ways, please like and subscribe as always, and thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.